Welcome. Today we're going to be doing a really important topic, and this is going to be the AC factoring method. So I know we have a few SAT takers coming up in March and May, April, and we have algebra, geometry, middle schoolers listening to this. And one of the things you're going to really want to know is how to do the AC factoring method. To put it simply, this is going to be used when the coefficient of an A value is more than 1. That might not make sense to you right now, but I am going to show you a few examples where you're going to need to know how to do this method in order to factor. This is something you're just going to really want to know, especially for the SAT and the ACT, but in general for your math classes. This is definitely something you're going to want to know. So let's go ahead and bring up Notability so we can do some questions. And the way that this works is that we're going to first have to identify the values of these underlined numbers. So for those who don't know, the coefficient is this 9 right here. The coefficient is the value that's going to be in front of a variable such as x. Alright, so we have x right here. The coefficient is going to be 9, and we're going to go ahead and just label it as a. This is going to be b and c, and we're just going to go ahead and write these down here. A is going to equal 9, b is going to equal -9, don't forget that negative, and then c is going to equal -10. So when you're factoring, you normally just identify multiples of c that add up to b, but for a, the coefficient is different. So in other words, you can't do the normal practice where you just take out the multiples from c that add up to b. You're going to have to actually multiply and probably make this diagram that I'm about to show you right now. So the easiest way to do it is just to go ahead and make this x, and then I don't normally do it, but I'm going to go ahead and label it for you guys so that you guys can understand. So at the top we have AC right here, right? So that just means A times C. What is A again? A is 9, right? And then C is -10. So what's 9 times -10? That would be 90. Good job. And then B is just going to be drag the B value, -9. So that's going to be -9. Now, the AC method is not too much different from normal factoring, but you are going to have to change it up a little bit. For the AC, we got -90, right? So what we're actually going to do is we're going to take that -90, and you only need to write it 90 for right now, and then just write down the values. So you can do it however you want, but it's going to start off 2, 45, 1, and 90, obviously. 3 and 30, and then you can just keep going, but eventually you're going to find out that it's going to be 6 and 15. I could just see it off the top of my head. I don't need to list all of the multiples, but if you want to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more safe, you can go ahead and list all of the roots. So it actually is going to be 15 and 6, but remember, so the two values that you are going to pick, they have to equal back to b, right? So we know that 15 minus 6 is -9, right? Or, sorry, -15 plus 6 is -9. So we identified the two AC roots of 90 that are going to equal to b. You can go ahead and just write them all out, and once you look at the numbers, you should be able to identify which ones will add up to -9 just by looking at the numbers. So we're going to have 6 and -15. This is going to be the first step. So write 6 for x1 and then -15 for x2. Then we can go back and redraw or rewrite the original equation. And what we're going to want to do now is just, let me change the color of this so we know that we're on the next step. I think this blue looks pretty nice. So we got 9x squared minus 9x minus 10. So we're going to write the same thing, but we're going to change the -9x, right? Look at the -9x. We're going to change it to plus 6x minus 15x minus 10. For those who don't understand that, we're simply just writing the term -9x differently. And you can see that plus 6x minus 15x is still negative 9x. So we're essentially just rewriting the equation. And that might be a little bit confusing because it's like, why are we doing that? You'll be able to know why we do that once we go to the next step. And the next step is going to be determining the GCF. So you want to go ahead and split these two terms, right? And then you have 9x squared plus 6x. What is the GCF, right? GCF, that's going to be 3x. So we can go ahead and extract 3x and then rewrite it. So 3x goes into 9x squared like this. 3x, and then 3x comes from 6x twice, so that's 3x plus 2. And then the same thing for negative 15x minus 10. GCF is negative 5. So we're going to just rewrite negative 5, and then negative 5 and negative 15x, negative 5 times 3x, so that goes there. And then negative 5 times 2 will equal negative 10. So that's going to be the third step. And you can see that in these parentheses, if you did it right, you're going to notice that these parentheses are the same, right? You see 3x plus 2, 3x plus 2. So we're going to go ahead and combine these. Let's move right here. 3x plus 2. If those two terms are the same, then you did it right, and you just want to add them together. It's going to be 3x plus 2. And then for the next parentheses, you want to get the 3x right there, right here, and then this negative 5. And that's going to be its own parentheses. And that will show you 3x plus 2, 3x minus 5. If you don't know if it works, if you don't believe that it works, you can go ahead and actually just do FOIL itself. You can do, sorry about that, you can do 3x times 3x, 3x negative 5, and then 2 times 3x, 2 times negative 5. And that is going to equal 9x squared minus 9x minus 10. So that is essentially how you do the AC method. This is going to be one of the easier examples, and it is going to be a little bit harder, but you should still be able to do what you need to do because you know the basics, right? Everything that we did in here, we're just going to have to do it with a few extra steps. So, sorry about that. Let me erase this. This is going to be a more difficult one. It's going to be a medium difficulty. So let's go ahead. We can speed through this one a little bit faster. A equals 12. B equals 243, and C equals negative 189, excuse me. And we're going to go and draw our AC chart. AC, B, x1, x2. A is 12, C is negative 189. So let's go ahead and calculate that. I have my phone right next to me, and 12 times 189 negative is going to be negative 2,268, excuse me. And B is just going to be 243. Remember that B is just right here, and you just have to plug it in, right? I'm going to erase that arrow. And so this is a question that's similar to the first question, but it takes an extra step, because if you look at negative AC, or AC, it's going to be negative 2,268. My apologies, guys. And that's going to be a heavy number. It's going to take some time to find the roots for it, but if you do it like we're supposed to, you can also just look up a root calculator that shows the roots. Basically, it might take a while to go through this, but it's still the same difficulty, and you're going to find out that the answers are going to be 252 and 9. Because these two are multiples of negative 2,268, and they both equal 243 when you combine them together. But the 9 has to be negative, right? Because it's also equal to 243. So that would be the long step, but I did shorten it because I already knew the answer, and I did that just so that we can get to past that long step and just keep going on with the video. So now that we have those two, remember, now we have to rewrite the equation. That is the next step. 12x squared plus 252x minus 9x minus 189. So keep in mind, guys, I actually have not done these questions before, so it might take some time. I'm just doing this along with you guys. Hopefully this is not too hard. The GCF of these two, let me group these up so you guys can just see. It looks like 12x. I think that 12 goes into 252. 252 divided by 12? Yeah. So, x, and then 21. And then for our next one, negative 9x minus 189. 9 does go into 189. So that should be negative 9x plus 21. And as you guys can see, the inside values are still the same, x plus 21. So that leads us to our next step. Let's go ahead. Ooh, sorry about that. 12x minus 9, x plus 21. If anything in this question, question number 2, which is a little bit harder, doesn't make any sense, you can comment down below. But you can probably just look back to question 1 because they're basically the same. They're the same concept. So it should make sense. If it doesn't, please let me know in the comments if it does not. Or you could just email me and I'll be happy to help you. Now, we're going to go on to the next one. Question 3. This is going to be a difficult one because there are going to be extra steps that may be confusing if you don't know how to deal with them. So x plus 1 squared minus 8 in parentheses x minus 1 equals negative 16. So, because we know it's factoring, we want to keep it as, okay, x plus 1 squared, and then negative 8 squared plus 8 equals 16, and x, I'm going to factor this out, x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 8x minus 8, and then, sorry guys, basically what I did was I took the negative 16 and then put it on the other side, and then I factored this out, and then I also factored this out. Right, I'll rewrite the steps once I'm done, but that should be x squared minus 6x minus 7. So let me write down these steps for those who could not keep along with that. I was a little bit quiet, so I do apologize for that. Let me erase this so we can know how to go about it. Okay, we identified that the negative 16 is on the other side. We're going to have to put that onto the other side. So put 16 to other side. Because when we're factoring, right, let me do it in factor form. X squared minus 6x minus 7. It has to equal 0. The other side has to be 0 in order for you to factor. So do that. And then I just foiled the first term. And then I foiled the second term. Now, you can go back to this, x squared minus 6x minus 7. This actually doesn't even require the AC method. So we can just go ahead and factor that. That should be x minus 7, x plus 1. And that's going to be our answer. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. It might be challenging for those who didn't know what to do. It looks a little bit intimidating. You're not sure what the first step is going to be. But this is going to be another tricky factoring question. And I hope that the concepts that I taught in the prior questions were able to help you here. I really hope this video was able to help you guys with the AC factoring method. I don't know what other factoring methods your teachers use for these type of questions, but I really hope this was helpful. Please let me know if it didn't make sense to you. And